what's up? It's Richie here with Statifying Football. These are your bowl previews. I did day 1. This will be day 2. This will be starting off December 21st, which is Saturday. The first game of that day will be the New Mexico Bowl against the Central Michigan Chippewas. It'll be the Central Michigan Chippewas versus the San Diego State Aztecs. Central Michigan, they went 8-5. They almost won the MAC. San Diego State went 9-3. Central Michigan, they have a pretty good offense. They're basically top 40 in scoring and total offense and in every passing, rushing, every category. Defense is so-so. They're 20th in rushing defense, 38th in total defense. They have 48 sacks, they have 48 sacks, which is actually one of the tops in the country. 24. That's not right. Sorry. They're 24th in the nation with 12 interceptions. They have 100 tackles for loss, which is actually 8th. They have a quarterback, Quentin Dormady. David Moore started first part of the year, and then he was suspended. Quentin Dormady came in, passed for 2,148, 14 touchdowns and 6 picks. They have almost 2 1,000-yard rushers. Jonathan Ward ran for 1,082 and 15 touchdowns. Kobe Lewis is almost there, 977 and 11 touchdowns. Khalil Pimpleton, 823 receiving and 6. They have a really good kicker, or not a really good kicker. This actually could be where the difference is. Ryan Tice, their kicker, is only 12 of 20, so what might be a close game, it could come down to the kicker. You have Sean Adesanya has 7 sack. Cameron McKinney, Harper, 10 pass breakups there. Then you got San Diego State. Their offense is really, really bad. They're like 119th in the nation, but they have one of the best defenses in the country. They're actually 4th in scoring defense, 5th in total defense. They have 15 interceptions, which ties for 5th in the nation. Quarterback Ryan Agnew, 2,175 passing, 11 touchdowns, 5 picks. They might have the best secondary in the country, at least statistically. You have cornerback Darren Hall. He has 16 pass breakups, which is tied for 1st in the country. 1 interception. So the 17 passes defense is tied for 4th nationally. Then you got cornerback Luke Barku. He has 16 pass breakups, which is tied for 1st nationally. 8 interceptions, which is tied for 2nd nationally. And his 24 passes defended is number 1 in the nation by 3. Then you got Tariq Thompson. He himself has 8 pass breakups and 3 picks with 11 total passes defensed. So they have one of the best secondaries, one of the best defenses in the country. So you have basically like a good mesh here of offense versus defense. Central Michigan versus San Diego State. I'm actually gonna go here slightly with San Diego State just because that defense is really strong. They should be able to maybe slow down the running game a little bit for Central Michigan, slow down the offense a little bit. And then San Diego State, they really don't have a good offense at all, but maybe they should be able to get a little bit going against Central Michigan, who's not the best defense in the nation. But because of that secondary, it'll be really hard for San Diego State to, especially move it in the air, and it should funnel the ground game to the San Diego State defense. So I'm going to go San Diego State with a very close win there. All right, then the next game is the Cure Bowl. This is Liberty and Georgia Southern. Liberty is a pretty cool story. Hugh Freeze is a coach there. He used to be at Ole Miss. Liberty just moved up to 1A actually last season, and they became bowl eligible at 7-5. They have one of the top offenses really in the country the last 3 years. One of the best quarterback wide receiver duo tandems in the country. They're averaging 33 points a game. They're 21st in passing offense, 31st in scoring offense. Their defense, though, is very suspect. They're 88th in total offense. Stephen Calvert, he's actually 12th in the nation. He's got 3,393 yards, 26 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. Their receiver, Antonio Gandy Golden, he's 21st in country in receptions, 3rd in receiving yards. He has 74 receptions for 1,333 yards and 9 touchdowns. Then their rushing attack, Frankie Hickson, he ran for 1,000 yards last year. He's close this year's 921 and 12 touchdowns. Then they have a high sack guy, Jesse Lamania, with 8.5 sacks. Then you got Georgia Southern over here. This is actually could be a pretty high scoring game and kind of flip. Liberty has a really good passing offense. They have a good ground game, but they like to go through the air. Georgia Southern is a triple option team. They're one of the best in the country at moving it on the ground. They're 8th in rushing offense in the country. However, their defense, and this is where it could get tricky. They're 91st in pass pass defense against Liberty's number 21 pass offense. So, however, Georgia Southern is really good. The turnover margin, quarterback Shea Werts, they don't pass a lot, but weirdly enough, last season he didn't throw an interception, and so far this year he has not thrown an interception. He's got 704 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, plus 676 rushing yards, and 5 touchdowns. J.D. King 776 rushing, 8 touchdowns, and Wesley Kennedy 760 rushing and 10 touchdowns. They have a really good cornerback in Moncavian Brinson with 10 pass breakups. I think this will go pretty much back and forth. This should be a pretty fun game to watch. It's really about if Georgia Southern, they will keep the ball for a while, but that passing game for Liberty, even though they won't have many chances, because Georgia Southern will milk the clock. And now Liberty does have the number 100 rushing defense too, so it's basically like strengths versus both strengths versus weaknesses. You have a good passing game against a bad passing defense, and a good running game against a bad rushing defense. Oh man, this is actually a pretty tough one. I'm gonna go Georgia Southern. I'm gonna give them a slight edge. I'm gonna say they can move it on the ground pretty well. Liberty, I think, will put up some points. They can score in a hurry, and a lot of them. But I think Georgia Southern, they might just keep it just a little bit too long, and ends them out could be a pretty close game, like a 31-29 kind of game. All right, then you got the Boca Raton Bowl. Here, this should be pretty high scoring. You got the Southern Methodist Mustangs against the Florida Atlantic Owls. Florida Atlantic won the CUSA. Southern Methodist went 10-2 out of the American Athletic Conference. They have the number 6 scoring offense in the country, averaging 43 points a game, 12th in passing, 9th in total offense. Their defense, though, is only 102nd in the nation. They actually have 50 sacks in there, which is 2nd in the country. 105 tackles for losses is 4th in the country. Running back Xavier Jones, 1,249 rushing yards, 21 rushing touchdowns, with the 2nd nationally. Shan Buechele, 3,626 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 9 picks. Wide receiver James Roche, 102 receptions, 1,139 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Then on their defensive side, defensive end Patrick Nelson, 12 sacks. Defensive lineman Delonte Scott, 10 sacks. Armani Johnson, he's got 11 pass breakups, 2 picks, is 13 passes defense. Then you go to Florida Atlantic. They have one of the best offenses in the country, averaging 35 points a game. They're 16th in scoring, 33 in total offense. Their scoring defense is actually pretty good, 33, but they are the number 81 pass defense. They had 34 sacks in the year. They actually have a plus 20 turnover margin. They are number 1 in the nation, and they're number 1 in interceptions. They have 21 interceptions. Quarterback Chris Robinson, 3,396 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 6 picks. Tight end Harrison Bryant, who actually won the John Mackey Award for the best tight end in the country, 65 receptions, 1,004 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Linebacker Achilles Leroy, 101 tackles, 7.5 sacks. And they have the nation's leader with interceptions. Miko Dotson has 9 interceptions. That is number 1 in the country. So you have a really, an opportunistic team facing a really good passing game, a really good overall offense. Both teams overall are offense here. Unfortunately for Florida Atlantic, especially because I believe Lane Kiffin will not be coaching the game, I'm going to go SMU to get the victory here. But the over-under is 16.5. This should be I'm really looking forward to this game. This should be an awesome maybe one of the best games of the whole bowl season. This could maybe even go to overtime. If you like scoring, you want to see this game with SMU and Florida Atlantic. All right, then you got the Camellia Bowl, another Florida team, Florida International Golden Panthers, facing the Arkansas State Red Wolves. FIU, they went 6-6. They snuck in here. Their offense really isn't all that great. They're like in the 80s and 90s in offense. Their defense is so-so. They're number 6 in the nation pass defense, but they're 108th in rush defense, which is not very good. Jason Morgan had a solid year, 2,248, 13 touchdowns, 3 picks. Anthony Jones ran for 802 and 9 touchdowns. Arkansas State came in. They're 75. Again, they're one of the most consistent teams in the Sun Belt. They, again, have a really good offense. They're actually 25th in the nation scoring with 33.7, 14th passing offense, 44 total. Their defense isn't all that great. They're 115th in scoring defense. But quarterback Lane Hatcher, so they had a few quarterbacks come in this year. I think some got hurt. Lane Hatcher came in, had a really fine year himself, 2,553, 23 touchdowns, and 9 picks. And that's only in about maybe 8 games or 9 games or something like that. They have a really good receiver, Omar Bayless, 84 receptions, 1,473 yards, 16 touchdown receptions. Defensive back Darian Jackson, 103 tackles. Defensive end William Bradley King, 8.5 sacks. Quarterback Jeremy Smith, 10 pass breakup, 2 interceptions. I'm going to pull for FIU because I'm a Florida guy. I like the Florida teams. But unfortunately, I think Arkansas State will probably be... They have a better offense. Their defense, like I said, is not very good, but Florida National's offense isn't all that great. And their defense is not the best either. I think Arkansas State should be able to score a little bit more than them. It might be close for a while. Butch Davis is a really great coach for FIU, but I'm going to go Arkansas State here. All right, then the final one is Saturday. This is... Oh, not the final one. There's two more good ones. Oh, wait. Skipped on. Okay. The Las Vegas Bowl. Boise State and Washington, they went 12-1. They won their Mountain West. They were number 14 in the country in offense, of course. They always are. They averaged 36.8 points per game. 30th in total offense. 24th in scoring defense as well. Linebacker / defensive end Curtis Weaver, 13.5 sacks, which is third nationally. 18.5 tackles for loss, tied for 7th. They had 37 sacks as a team, which is tied for 10th. Kicker Eric Sachet, pretty good, 14 of 17. They had weird quarterback situation. Hank Bachmeier, their starter, had a really good start of the year. He got hurt. Chase Cord came in. He was solid, but then Jalen Henderson took over the last 3 games or so. He was great, really solid, really good overall combined numbers by the 3 quarterbacks. 3,462 total passing yards, 29 touchdown passes, and only 9 picks spread out overall 3. Running back George Holani, he's a rookie. He's a freshman. He's almost got 1,000 yards, 979 and 7 touchdowns. And actually, Boise State, they've had a 1,000-yard rusher in 10 consecutive seasons. And Holani should, barring some terrible injury early on, should be able to stretch that to 11 straight. You got wide receiver John Hightower, 48 catches, 923 and 8 touchdowns. Shakir's got 60 reception rate, 34 and 6 touchdowns. They're facing Washington. Washington had a very down year. They were coming in possible Pac-12 title. They only went 7-5. Offense was so-so, scoring 31.5. Defense was fine, 23rd in scoring defense. Quarterback Jacob Eason had an okay year, 2009, 22 touchdowns, 8 picks. Salman Ahmed ran for exactly 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. Tight end Hunter Bryant, 52 catches, 825, 3 touchdowns. They have a good kicker, Peyton Henry, which if this is close, it could come down to that as well. They have a good linebacker, Joe Tryon. He had 8 sacks. Defensive back Elijah Molden. He had 13 pass breakups on the year with 16 passes defense, which is tied for 5th nationally. He had 13 pass breakups and 3 interceptions. I kind of feel like this is a letdown game in terms of I think Boise State's really, really good this year. And Washington's really not great. Yeah, it's Power 5, whatever. Boise State beats even the good ones all the time. I think Washington's got the favor. I don't see it. I think Boise State's going to go in there and win. They may blow them out, but at the very least, they probably win by 10 or so. I'm going to go Boise State in there. All right, then now the final game of Saturday night. Appalachian State, ranked 20th in the country. Boise State, actually last game was ranked 2. But Appalachian State, they won the Sun Belt Conference, going 12-1. They're facing the Alabama Birmingham Blazers, UAB. They went 9-4, and they lost this USA title game. But man, Bill Clark, that coach at UAB, dude, he might be a new coach now. I haven't quite looked, but I haven't seen him up for much yet. He needs to be. Go look at what he's done with UAB. The whole story with UAB, they didn't have a football team for 2 years, and he's been bowl eligible the 4 years they were there, and that includes taking 2 years off. Anyway, they lost a lot of starters from last year's 11-win team, only to get back to the CUSA title game again. Bill Clark, great coach. App State, their coach, Eli Drinkwitz, one and done. He went there, took him 12-1. Now he's going to, I think, Missouri to head coach. Appalachian State, they're one of the best overall teams in the country statistically. They're 8th in the nation in scoring offense, and they're 22nd in the nation in scoring defense. They have 30 sacks as a team, 13 interceptions as a team. Zach Thomas, the quarterback, 2,576 yards, 26 touchdowns to 6 picks, plus 412 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. Darrington Evans ran for 1,323 yards and 17 rushing touchdowns. Defensive back Sean Jolly has 5 interceptions. Whereas UAB, their offense really isn't that good. They only average 23.6, which is the 100th in the nation. But this is about their defense. They're 25th in scoring defense, 13 in rushing defense, 13 in pass defense, 9th in total defense. So this is strength versus strength. One of the top offenses against one of the top defenses. They even have 43 sacks and 99 tackles for loss. Both are in the top 10 in each category. They had a weird quarterback situation. Quarterback Tyler Johnson started most of the year. Then he got hurt. Hopkins came in. Filled in good enough. Tyler Johnson, though, I think did play in the CUSA title game, so he should be able to go. Johnson, 1,952 yards, 15 touchdowns, 14 picks. Needs to get those picks down. Jalen Hopkins, he was more the runner there. They do have a really good wide receiver, Austin Watkins, 47 catches, 930 yards, and 5 touchdowns, so he maybe could get to 1,000. Jordan Smith, 10 sacks. Christopher Mole, 9 sacks. Safety DeJohn Turner, 10 pass breakups and 1 interception. So they're all about the defense with UAB. I'm going to say Appalachian State wins because Appalachian State also has a really good defense, and UAB's offense really is not very good. Appalachian State is a top 20 team in the country, and they've looked like it all year. And this Appalachian State is favored by 17, and that might be what it is. So I'm going to go App State there. Alright, so those are the Saturday ones. Check out got more bowl previews coming. Next one will be Monday, December 23rd, UCF and Marshall. Check that preview out. Peace.